Welcome to a war-ridden hellscape whose only savior is that rock over there. I'm Nonless, and I'll be somehow piecing together the notes I took about 2 years ago. But before we get into it, a quick recap. The party retook Dresden from this big demon pig thing and his abyssal boys. Bagunga completely ignored Iomede's yap sesh and kept his trickster powers. And finally, the gang hucked their final loogies at Undead Staunton. Alright, recap over. Let's get into it. Everything back to normal, the gang assume their regular positions. The first thing on the agenda is an audience with Anevia. She walks into the command room completely wasted. Apparently, because of Bagunga's trickster vibes, every citizen in Dresden is drunk 24/7. Oops. Anyway, she mumbles through a couple quests that need the gang's attention. I'll tell you about them when we get to them. Stop asking. As she stumbles out of the room, Regel steps in. He says that the Hell Knights, #1 demon haters and law lovers, hold the wildly outlandish opinion that the commander is not to be trusted, due to his weird, unlawful demonic powers. Weird, I know. A pretty sizable chunk of them have thrown a tantrum, and locked themselves at a nearby outpost as protest. To appease Regel and make him look cool in front of his friends, Bagunga gathers the gang and heads to said outpost. As soon as they arrive, they get aggressively surrounded by Hell Knights, and Regel separates and takes his place among them. Once again, he's lured the party into some weird Hell Knight trap. Regel dragged Bagunga over here to discuss his crimes against Hell Knight beliefs. He then charges him with the crime of demon collusion. He describes his hatred for Bagunga's power and chastises him for the way he decided to manifest them. The main paralictor speaks up. He says that due to Bagunga's performance in the loyalty test, episode 11, he does not believe that he's guilty of demon collusion. Bagunga is free to go. Regel seethes at the leniency that was just put on display. He believes it a direct insult of his way of life. Pissed beyond human belief, he breaks protocol and challenges Bagunga to a 1v1 on Rust.
Close ranks.
Roll! Smear them!
Regel gets completely battered by the borderline trickster god that is Bagunga. Just absolutely stomped on. You know, some of us would say pwned. The other paralictors declare that Regel was way out of line, and that his actions were disgraceful. So they strip him of his rank and reputation. Amazed by Bagunga's performance, they decide to send a couple elite squads of Hell Knights to aid in the war effort. They depart, and leave Regel in the mud, dishonored, never to return to his post. Once the Hell Knights are out of view, Regel pushes up his anime glasses and reveals his grand plan.
I believe I owe you an explanation, Knight Commander.
In Hell Knight HQ, known as the Citadel, the major factions were divided on the issue of the sudden appearance of a great commander. Some wanted to support Bagunga with supplies and troops. Others wanted to watch from the sidelines and ensure that no demon cringe was at play. So Regel proposed a plan. He would attach himself to this new commander and determine his loyalties. After spending some time with Bagunga and realizing that he holds no ill will, only silly willies, he decided that the Hell Knight should in fact send supplies to the war effort. But he knew that no matter how many positive reports he sent, there would still be indecision and doubt in the political sphere of the Citadel. So he devised a borderline psychotic plan. He would sacrifice himself by openly mocking and challenging Bagunga in front of the other paralictors, losing the 1v1 on purpose cope and humiliating himself. After Bagunga's defeat of the great paralictor Regel, the others would see him as a beacon of might and hope, and unanimously agreed to send supplies to the war effort.
Of course, this meant that my reputation would be destroyed. and I would be stripped of my rank. But that's inconsequential. Such losses are acceptable. I make no great fuss about the bleaching, but I do realize the full scope of its effects. The Fifth Crusade is quite possibly my last campaign. The pressures of time push people to extreme measures, and I am no exception. Now that we are entirely clear, let us return to the main objective. I still hope to see the matter of the world wound resolved once and for all.
Dumbfounded and low-key impressed by Regal's scheme, they forgive his lies and deceit. They invite him back to the party, and together they ride back to Dresden, slightly richer than when they left. Back in the command room, Sakov Benoth takes his turn to speak with Bagunga. He says that Cobblepoof is done with his task, and he invites him to yet another secret closet meeting. Of course, he attends without delay. Inside, Cobblepoof shows the council the artifact he retrieved. It's a tiny, diamond-tipped needle called the Soul Cauldron. With it, Bagunga could suck the essence of an extraordinary being from any realm, and use it to open a pathway into the world wound. Luckily, there happens to be a bunch of powerful beings from varying realms right here in the council, but the process is known to be excruciatingly painful. So the council pussies out and denies Bagunga their essence. While the council finds their courage, Sakov Benoth suggests an outing. Shamira, from the Ardent Dream all the way back in Elushinra, is originally from a plane called Nirvana. Sakov Benoth wants Bagunga to steal Shamira's essence. Luckily, she's currently visiting his sister's palace, his sister being Lady Nocticula. So obviously he has a portal directly to her room. So he casts a plethora of high-level invisibility spells, and opens yet another closet. They step through and find themselves once again in the great palace of Elushinra. More specifically, in Lady Nocticula's private quarters. Unable to help himself, Bagunga calls upon the rule of whilst in Rome, and begins pranking the shit out of Nocticula's room. And by pranking, I mean dropping horrific confetti everywhere and causing irreparable property damage. Whilst pranking, they spot Shamira heading into a room, alone.
I'll split you! Close rank. You crossed the... It is not a...
Have yours action. Why not both? Can't you just die already?
And just like that, without leaving a trace, Shamira is dead. Her essence of Nirvana collected, and Nocticula is thoroughly pranked. Some would say that's a job well done. Bagunga returns to the council, prize in hand. Finally, their plan to open a multi-dimensional highway can begin. Everyone is ecstatic and celebrating the victory. That is, until an incredibly pissed off Nocticula teleports in, wearing the aftermath of Bagunga's pranks. No one can hear what she's shouting over the council's collective laughter. Ridiculed and unfathomably pissed, she goes into a murderous rage.
Can we rest now?
It's your voice.
Well, Lady Nocticula is dead, or at least locked to her realm for another year. The party have somehow brought the downfall of yet another demon lord, both times completely unplanned. As a thank you to Bagunga and the amazing spectacle he just brought to the council, The members agreed to give their essence over to the Soul Cauldron. Bagunga now possesses the essence of the Abyss, Nirvana, Elysium, the Axis, and Hell. Anyway, Bagunga has a momentous task ahead of him, so he bids the council farewell. But before he goes, he calls upon the rule of whilst in Rome one more time. And fuck Suckoth Benoth. But you think Daredevil gave him a pass because it's an actual demon lord he's being shitted on with? You know, kind of like a baseball player or something. Adultering aside, the gang are fully equipped and ready to face the final act of their story. And, well, it's time to face the final act of this video because, well, that's all I got. If you have extra time on your hands, consider checking out my friends, the Discord channel, and the Gnome Shorts channel. All links in the description. And as always, please like, sub, and realize that this outro is what you've been praying for your entire life. Witness it, as is written.